Guys, first of all, thank you so much for asking me to do this. It's very nice of you to reach out to me, and I'm happy to do so. So let's see what the first question you had for me was. When did my video production journey start? So I officially began my video production journey in the year 2014. I was working a full-time job at the time as a cable guy. I disliked it very much. It was something that I really wanted to get out of. I was always interested in filmmaking, but I was never able to really get a job in the industry. So throughout the years, I just kind of saved up my money. I started buying some really cheap camera equipment and just kind of playing around with it. And the more I did so, the more interested I became. And then I just started following some YouTubers that I admired. First YouTuber I found was a guy by the name of Devin Graham. And he does some really awesome like action, like action sport filmmaking with the glide cam. He was the guy that really made the glide cam very popular. He has his own signature glide cam, and I really adopted his style. That was kind of like who I really wanted to become in terms of like the kind of filmmaking he was doing, but I just didn't know where to apply it. So I just started practicing just on anything, in parks, on people, friends, and then and then you kind of open your eyes up to small little opportunities. There was a DJ that I became friends with, and he wanted like a promotional video done. So I told him I would just do it for free, just to be in an atmosphere where I could apply my skills. And it came out really good, and I grew my confidence, and he was happy. And then through him, I started kind of like seeing more, weddings, and like starting to like think about weddings. And then as fate would have it, like a couple of friends reached out to me. They knew I was doing this stuff, so they asked me if I could do their wedding. And I did it either for really cheap or for free. I can't remember. Either way, it was under $1,000. And I did a pretty good job. I prepared a lot. I researched a lot, and I got through it. It wasn't easy, but I got through it. And then I had two solid examples based on those two weddings that I did. And then based on those two examples, I ended up selling 26 weddings within my first year of business, of official business. And they're not for high prices, they were for low prices, but I booked 26 jobs. So that was portfolio building, a ton of experience, ton of networking, ton of word of mouth. And that's what really generated and kickstarted my business. And then by I think it was the end of 2015, like the beginning of 2016, I officially quit my previous full-time job, and then I jumped into this full-time. And then to answer part two of the question, which is, did I go to school for this, or was it self-taught? I went to school. It wasn't a film school. It was a university, Monmouth University, in West Long Branch, New Jersey. They had a communications program there, and to be totally honest, it wasn't something that I really feel like I benefited from. I didn't really apply myself as well as I should have, but at the same time, I don't think that a college degree is necessary for this kind of industry, filmmaking and photography. Everything I learned, everything of value, was by self-motivation and self-teaching from YouTube, people that I admired, and I just wanted to know how they were doing it, so I would just further research how they were doing it. And then I would figure it out, and I would grab my camera, and I would try it, and I would learn it, and I would just keep taking baby steps forward from there. So everything that I learned, self-taught, and the only reason I was able to do that was because I was just infatuated, and I was just interested. I just wanted to learn more. And that's how I basically got started. So I mentioned how it started. I took some free or very inexpensive jobs that I was fortunate to find, but I kept my eyes open to see the opportunity that was there. And then I used those early jobs as my portfolio, and then I would just try to post it, spread it out on social media, just so more people knew about it. So you always want to try to get your stuff out there in any way you can. So that's kind of how everything started. And then how big is it now? It's my fiance Deirdre and I, soon to be wife this year. We shoot 35 jobs per year, just her and I. So we don't send anyone else out on our behalf. We're kind of like a boutique style company where we try to provide, like a high production value, a very one-to-one experience with the couples. And it's her and I that do all the shooting. And then in terms of the editing, we do have some editors that work for us, but it's not something where it's like a studio, I would say. We've developed like a structure and a design for how we like our films to be portrayed. We've kind of built a framework for how those edits should take place. And then basically, some of the work will go out. I'll do like half of it myself, and then the other half of the jobs will go out to an editor. They'll put it together within the framework. They'll do some creative things as well. It gets sent back to me. I submit corrections to them. They update the corrections. It gets sent back to me. I go in and then I tweak it and fine tune it some more, and then it'll get sent out to the client. So the reason why we do that is because we obviously, 35 jobs is a lot for us, and we want to make sure that we're able to output the work in a timely manner, and then we also want to make sure that we have enough time to focus on the other aspects of the business that are very important, such as speaking with couples, creating timelines, working on marketing for our business. I have a lot of editing to do. There's just so many other things that need to be done for a business that need to be done effectively, and if you take on too much work, those other areas can get hurt. So we found people that we really trust and we've worked with for a while that help us out a little bit with post-production. How would I describe my style? I don't know, people ask me this and I never really know what to say. I'd say it's very, I would just say elegant and beautiful. I try to make it a little bit more like kind of like high-end and contrasty, like a little more dramatic. I don't necessarily shoot kind of like bright, like light and airy. A lot of photographers like to shoot. I kind of like to shoot a little bit darker with some more shadows, just to kind of create a little bit more like drama and contrast. That's kind of like a recent update to my style that I've kind of gone for, but I like it a lot. So yeah, so I always look for shadows. I always look for, speaking of bright, this window light is changing right now. So I always try to, look for shadows, look for like some little like edge lighting, things like that, to try to make things as dramatic as I can, My favorite weddings are the weddings that just kind of go smoothly, where the couple is just like super into it, where they appreciate video, because it's not always so much of a priority in this industry. Usually it's photo first, but I love working with couples that really appreciate video, just like let us have like the freedom to create and like do things with them where we feel like we're able to, just kind of get the most out of the day. Like couples that are into that stuff, like that's the stuff that I really look forward to, because it makes it fun for us. It takes stress away. That's how we're really able to create the best work. So couples that are like into letting us do our thing, like those are my favorite weddings. My favorite wedding videography, video production trend. I've noticed that there was like kind of like a upward trend of like when I got in. I feel like there was a lot of people were really trying to introduce like that movement with like the glide cam, and now it's like the crane, where it's like a lot of those like gimbals and motorized gimbals have kind of been like the upward trend. So everybody's kind of been doing that, and myself included, because movement could be very beautiful and powerful and cinematic. But I noticed the elite videographers, the elite cinematographers, they know how to introduce static shots where the camera does not move, where the camera can just sit there steady and then capture something beautiful that's happening. And they know how to really shape that lighting to make it as dramatic as possible, or just, things like that, where it's just like less is more, and they know how to do something very simple but make it so powerful, because a lot of people think they need to constantly be moving their camera around to do so. But if you really just focus on like the essence of the story, you can create something very, very powerful with just a tripod. So I think that's something that is really interesting that I'm trying to lean more towards, as I try to improve myself. What are things that make the perfect wedding video? It's kind of like what I said earlier. Couples that are into it, couples that are, definitely willing to just kind of like trust us and put their faith in us that like we know what we're doing. We know how to keep everything on time for the day. And just couples that are excited, they want to have fun. They want to have a beautiful video. So those are the things that really make our work better. It's not so much like what we're doing necessarily. It's just like a really good attitude and approach to the day from the couple. That's really what makes everything awesome. Because like, if they let us do those extra like 3 or 4 shots, and they're like excited about it, and they kind of follow like a little bit of direction where they're not so much thinking, but they're just more enjoying. That's really what makes the films beautiful. Because we take a lot of the same techniques to every single wedding, but the story is based on the couple, and if the couple is into it, the film's going to be awesome. Oh, the 3 things that make it perfect. So that's one thing, and then the next thing, let's see. I think just like a good schedule. A lot of times, a couple won't necessarily think about the schedule of the day as much. They'll just kind of think about like things that are cool that they want involved in their day. Like they want to go to this park, and then they want to, like spend a lot of time, at the church, doing, X, Y, and Z and things like that. And they just think like, I just got to cram as much into the day as possible because it's one day and I have to have all these things. But, personally, I think that your photographer and your videographer know your wedding day flow the best out of anyone, because we're the people that are with you the entire day, and we know when things are tight. We know when there's like a nice cushion where not only, are we getting everything that you guys are going to want, but, creating like little moments where you guys can take like a breather and just relax and sit with your bridal party for a little bit. Like these are all the things that I feel like make a smooth day, because when everything is rushed, everybody's stressed out, and you're not so much thinking about like the creative aspects of the day. You're thinking about, just like, I don't want them to miss their cocktail hour, or I don't want them to get upset if like, things are taking too long. So, those are some of the things that are very important to making a wedding day not only flow nicely, but creating like the best photos and videos possible. And then the third thing, again, like just like a good attitude, like having like a good approach to the day, like trying to turn off the thinking switch in your brain, just being excited. You can definitely obviously be nervous. It's very nerve-wracking to get married, but and just have all that attention on you. But if you think of it as like happy nerves instead of like, just like angry that like the flowers didn't show up on time or like things like that, like just roll with the punches. Like it's not going to be perfect, but if you have a good attitude, like, that's going to be the expression on your face versus like, like tension. And that always shows in your photos and videos. So that's some advice to couples. What should couples avoid on their wedding day when it comes to photography? I can't so much speak for photography because obviously we do video. What should they avoid? I don't know. I mean, God, this window lighting is like crazy. Sorry, the exposure just keeps changing. I don't know. I mean, it really depends on like how much they value one thing or another. I mean, some couples are really into their photos and video is not so much of a primary thought. And then sometimes we get the other way around. So, we don't take it personally. You know what I mean? Like some people will kind of take that personally and they'll get very upset because like they're more interested in their photos than their video. But at the end of the day, like it's about them, like you stood out to them for a reason. And you're there for a reason. So, so that's great. And you want to do the best job possible, but feel it out too. Like, you want to make sure that, you're not sticking out in a bad way on their day. You know what I mean? That's different from the question, but I don't think there's anything necessarily for couples to avoid when it comes to anything. It's really just a matter of, what they're into. Like it's like that saying, like the customer is always right. It's whatever they're into, and I'm sure they're going to appreciate what you do. But just because you're there doesn't mean necessarily they were most interested in the video, or same thing with photo. You know what I mean? So don't take any of that stuff personally. Just keep focusing on doing the best work possible, and you're going to attract those couples that appreciate you. I think it's a totally different answer, but I don't really know how to answer that question 100%. So what are 2 things you would advise a bride to be when it comes to their wedding video? I just keep coming back to that whole good attitude thing. I mean, it's you know, it's trying not to do too much. Like try not to, if you're a bride, don't think too much about anything. You know what I mean? Like do your planning beforehand. Like we get a lot of people that are like, you know, meticulous, which is awesome. Like you want everything to be planned out as close to perfectly as possible before the wedding day. But the brides that are able to turn off that switch on the wedding day, and not be so stressed out when they're in the hair and makeup chair and like all that other stuff, like, you know, the brides that are just like realizing like, you know, all my family's here, all my best friends are here, like, you know, and they have like a smile on their face and they're genuinely happy. You know, it's like the law of attraction. Like you're going to attract good things. You're going to attract good weather. You're going to attract like, you know, all these great things for you on your day and all these like beautiful, like, you know, pockets of moments that you're going to really like cherish and enjoy. You know what I mean? Because when you're stressed out and when you're upset, nothing great will ever happen from that, right? So you always want to make sure you have the best attitude possible, and just be happy. Like this is it. This is like what you've spent all these months planning, right? So just enjoy it. Yeah, so it's that. And then, well, bride to be, right? So that was the question. So when you're researching your photo and your video, right? And obviously it all depends on budget, but just make sure that, I mean, personally, I believe that you should try to find somebody, and you can do this within any kind of a budget, but just look for somebody that kind of specializes in what it is that they do. So make sure that, you know, I mean, there are studios out there that do a great job, don't get me wrong, and this isn't to say anything negative about studios, but what I will say is they're not going to give you that as much of a personal experience, and there are a lot of studios out there that are very deceiving in terms of what it is that they provide, who's going to be with you on your day, and you know, if it's something where maybe you don't value it as much, like let's say you don't value the video as much, you just want to have somebody there that's reputable and you know is going to show up, then yeah, studios that, you know, that's perfect. And again, there are studios that do a phenomenal job. I've been very impressed. But again, like if you're really somebody that is really looking to, you know, hold on, we'll wait for the sunlight to change. So yeah, so again, like if you're really someone that's looking to, you know, kind of put in a lot of research and you're looking for something that is really kind of like unique and a little bit different, you know, look for people that specialize. Don't look for companies that do both. Look for somebody that does one and they do it, you know, to the best of their ability. So that's kind of what I say there. And you know, just don't just look at one example. Like look at a whole body of work. You know, look at one couple's wedding and then look at each pertaining video, or look at each, you know, gallery, and just look for consistency. And then again, something very important too is like, you know, the owner of the company, like, you know, what's their attitude like? What's their personality like? Can you see yourself getting along with them? Because, you know, don't be starstruck by beautiful work. You know, like there could be somebody that is with you on your day that can ruin the entire day based on their attitude and how they treat you on your day. Like, you know what I mean? So it's rare, but it does happen. So, you know, I feel like there's a few things that need to align in order for you to be as happy as possible and to get the best work possible. Because, you know, there are people out there that get a little bit carried away with the work versus, you know, how to treat someone and the experience and just, you know, giving you the entire package versus just the photos or just the video. And then the last question is, how can couples make our jobs easier? Yeah, I mean, you know, again, like the whole happiness thing, just try to turn your brain off and just be happy. You know, you'd be surprised like how hard that is. But if you're able to do it, it does make a big difference. It, you know, it allows us to create less takes. Like we don't have to redo things because instead of having that concentrated look on your face, you know, you're just more relaxed. You're smiling. You know what I mean? We want to portray you in the best way possible. And then also just trust us. I mean, we do this all the time. Like we're in the business of documenting the most important day of people's lives. You know, it's not something that we take lightly. It's, it's it's very important to us that we take care of you guys in your day, and we want to have your day run smoothly. And again, like your photographers, your videographers, those are the people that are going to guide you the best on your wedding day. So that's it. Like if you just put your trust in us and you're just happy, that's it. That's all you really need to focus on in order to truthfully have something that you're going to really cherish forever. So yeah, and if you guys want to follow us, you can follow this light, man. See, this is what we go through. So if you want to follow us, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube at Lorenzo Media Productions. That's the best places to check out our work. Like shoot us some questions, send us messages. I love to engage with everybody and try to help everybody as much as possible. Thank you guys again for watching this and for having us. We really appreciate it. And we hope to see you guys online and talk to you soon.